I'm joined by James Wolfe. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Uh, Now today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2. I'm excited because in prep for what was the last movie? No Way Home. I watched all the Spider-Man movies leading up to it. Uh, and right after that, I was done with watching Spider-Man stuff. Uh, and that's not just because I didn't like No Way Home or whatever. It doesn't matter what I feel about No Way Home. That's irrelevant. Uh, I was just Spider-Man out for a little bit. So I rewatched Spider-Man 2 the other day with my brother in prep for this. Uh, and it's been two. So thinking about that, it's been over 2 years since I've watched a Spider-Man movie, really, other than No Way Home. So yeah. Uh, why did you want to talk about Spider-Man 2?
Um, I don't know. I think out of all the three in that, the first and the second one were definitely my favorite, but I feel like definitely there's somebody better out there who could talk about one because I think that that one's made for somebody, and two is I think I don't know. Honestly, I can't choose between a favorite between the first and the second one,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I like sequels, so I guess that's probably partly why I wanted to go with the second one.
Yeah. Uh, Man, it's funny. My ex roommate, he's in the army. I think he's in Lithuania. I don't know, but somewhere in our first year of living together, I found out he. All right, so this is the craziest part. He knew the first Spider-Man from like what was it, 2002. He knew that existed. That movie to him was a nostalgic piece of a movie, as it is for a lot of us. He did not ever see Spider-Man 2.
Wait. So we saw the first one.
He saw the first one. He loved it. He was like, man, this is one of the best movies ever.
Did he not know that two existed?
No, he didn't even see three.
I mean,
He didn't know either of them existed.
wow. That's
That blew my mind. I was like, how could you watch the first one, know it exists, love it, seemingly saw it when he was a kid, like it was nostalgic, but never see the second one?
that's impressive.
And the second one's a bigger one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know how you make it this long without even just getting like a glimpse. I mean, if I saw anything online that was like that, something that looked like a scene I hadn't seen before from the movie, I would have been like instantly, what is that? Where is that from? I've never seen that before.
Now, to be fair, he is more of but it's still strange. Because if you're a kid and you watch the first one, you're still a kid when the second one comes out. But regardless, it's like he's more of a sportsy guy, so maybe just but still, that's still strange. I feel like everybody in the world, probably, I don't know. I don't know. Uh Speaking of, do you remember the first time you saw Spider-Man 2?
I think I have like vague little flashes of it. I mean, I saw it I'm pretty sure I saw it in theaters. But I don't really remember with who or how old I was. But I'm pretty sure I saw all three of them in theaters.
Okay. So I remember I don't think I remember every theater experience I've ever had. I do remember each of those Sam Raimi original Spider-Man movie theater experiences, each specifically. The first one, that's a far-reaching memory because I was probably like 4 or 5 ish, so it's hard to really wait. How old was I? Hold on, let me do quick math. 96 to 2000. It's four. So I guess I was 5 or 6 ish. Uh, but I don't obviously remember everything. I just remember two parts from the first movie. Uh, One, when he gets bit by the spider, because it was a little scary, and the reason my brother didn't want to go see it with me and my parents was because he was scared of that one scene that was going to happen where the spider bites his hand and he's scared of spiders. So he was like, I'm not going to go. So he didn't see the first one in theaters. Uh, And the other scene is when all the New Yorkers are throwing stuff at Goblin, and they're like, "Hey, you trying to be saying a bunch of kids? Mess with Spidey, mess with New York, mess with all this, mess with all this." And that was the first time I ever got goosebumps in my life, and I remember it. I remember it, and I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. So that's the first movie, and then the second movie. I'm sorry, I'm yelling and rambling. The second movie, I'm pretty positive I remember, and I'm pretty positive this is what it was. My dad, he was at work. We picked him up from work. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Uh, he changed out of his work shirt into a normal shirt, and we went straight to the theater. It was a packed theater. We got kind of sort of in the frontish, but not too much in the front to where it was impossible. It was packed. I think my dad said there were people standing in the back because they ran out of seats, but people wanted to see the movie. And this is here in stupid Hot Springs, which I can say since I'm not recording this on a radio show, which is not stupid, but still, it's like nobody cares about movies really as much, or they care, but I don't think the show out is that crazy anymore. Uh, and yeah, I just remember that. And when I got the theater of Spider-Man 2, I didn't like it, but now I love it. I think at the time I thought it was too funny. I went because the first one, it's funny, but it's also a little scary. The second one is not as scary, except for one scene. But we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, that was my rant. I don't know. What do you guys say? You got any words?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the second one. I don't know. I didn't really. You said you didn't like it as much because it wasn't as funny or it wasn't as scary.
No, I didn't like it as much because I thought it was a little too funny. Which now I don't think it's too funny, but at the time I thought it was too funny.
Okay.
Like I remember cringing, and I was a child, but now I do like it. But these are criticisms of a stupid child. Okay,
I
which
can't imagine. Like, I can't imagine a 5-year-old cringing.
listen, I got into movies stupid young. I would, everybody has their pretension stage. I was pretentious early.
At
Uh,
5.
well, Spider-Man 2, it was later. Spider-Man 2 was, I was probably like 7 or 8. And yeah, around that time, I probably was coming around some stuff. Some stuff.
Mm.
Uh, but the part when he's sitting outside the theater and like the Asian woman is like playing violin for, I guess, for money, I guess. She's like plays the Spider-Man theme and it sucks. I thought, but that's to say, I thought it was funny. I just didn't. I was like, why is this being funny? It should just be awesome. But then obviously, when you get to like the train scene and all that, it's like, oh snap! Oh, oh man, that movie. Oh gosh.
I think I liked those ones, the Tobey Maguire ones, Sam Raimi, because they actually like you remember that old the what was it, the Hulk? I think it was just the Hulk is what it was
Yeah,
called.
2003's Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were both like filmed like comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like a lot of the comic book movies nowadays are filmed like comic books. I think they're filmed like all the other action movies.
Flat and bland and
I
boring.
would, I mean, no, I mean
I mean,
some of them have depth, but
some do,
yeah,
but
there was a certain style to those early ones, and I don't think I don't think it would be easy to recreate that because we're just so used to like a certain template now.
yeah. Well, me and Jacob we were sitting here watching it, and like when it was coming down to like starting to, like the beginning, it's not the final showdown. Like pretty much once Spider-Man and Doc Ock fight again, uh, it's like nonstop fight after fight after fight at the end of the movie. But they're like fighting on the side of the like that clock tower building type thing, and I'm just like, why are we not having more Spider-Man fights on the side of the building in broad daylight? Like it's something simple as that. It's like the Tom Holland movies in both No Way Home and Homecoming. Those are both in nighttime, and you're fighting these cool like. Why is Spider-Man fighting the Vulture in the dark beach on Coney Island and not in the skyscrapers in broad daylight? Stupid.
Well, I mean, that was Spider-Man's like first year
I mean,
or
I get
second.
that, but I'm just saying.
He was still living in Queens. He wasn't even on Manhattan at that point.
And also, wouldn't in No Way Home, wouldn't it be cooler to see all the three Spider-Man uh in daylight swinging around punching bad guys?
Okay, yeah, in No Way Home, I would have liked that if that was more like yeah, daytime.
Now, and that's why I actually
I
give Far From Home a little bit of an edge on those other two in some ways.
I just wish there would have been more fight scenes between Tobey Maguire Spider Man and the Green Goblin, but that's just me, I guess.
Don't get me. This is not No Way Home. Don't get me started on No Way Home. I, my brother. It's funny. My brother didn't like. Have you seen Across the Spider Verse 2 yet?
um, yeah, I have. I
Uh,
liked it. I thought it was really good.
I love it. Jacob was not crazy about it, but he thinks No Way Home is really good, and I'm like it's mid. That's just me. I understand. Don't get. I'm getting out of it. I'm getting out of it. I'm jumping out of this. Back to Spider-Man 2. I'm sorry if I'm getting hyper. Okay. Uh. Okay.
Hey, they're all a part of the same universe now.
That's my. It
So
sucks. It doesn't totally suck, but it kind of does suck that the only multiverse thing that people are kind of really wrapping their head around is the Spider Verse thing, and they can fully understand. Oh, I get. Yeah, these are different Spider Men in different universes, and you're making them commingle now, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be all the time. Like the rules are well established for people to understand. Nobody's making a fuss. Meanwhile, MCU and DC are like, "What's going on? I don't understand what's going on." What's and it's just funny, and it's like Spider-Man. I'm not saying he doesn't necessarily fit for a multiversal thing, but it's funny that he's the only one who can put it out concisely and understandably, as opposed to like a Doctor Strange, where things should be his realm or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, I do find it weird that in Across the Spider was it Across the Spider Verse? Is that what it's
And
called? Second one?
yeah, second one's Across the Spider Verse. I hate that all the titles suck for all of them. I'll say that too.
Yeah, I it bugs me that like in they showed scenes from the Amazing Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So they're showing that like all these universes are connected and they can just jump into them and stuff. But in Across the Spider Verse, they glitch
Mm-hmm.
and uh, it's different. So like I don't know, it's like different in the other universes apparently. Uh,
Yeah.
Also, did you notice that what was his name? The one with all the holes? I always forget.
Oh, the spot.
Yeah, the spot. Do you notice that like he didn't glitch at all in the entire film?
Yeah, but that's because he can move through the holes.
Yeah, but he still goes to those universes that have a different makeup.
But also, like he was in that particle, whatever it is. I want to call it a particle accelerator, but collider, the collider thing.
Yeah, they collect.
Uh, he was in it, so I don't know if you're basically made of the thing that is doing the things. I don't know, and that's just me making something up. I don't know. It's all BS, but he'd probably be glitching, or that's probably why he wouldn't be glitching is because he's made up of the device that can even make it possible in a way.
Yep. But see now Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield they didn't glitch in No Way Home.
Oh my god, you're right. And they're pretending like it's
And
all.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, didn't glitch when he went through all those universes.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know if you saw the Loki season 2 trailer, uh, but he'd be glitching.
Who does? Loki?
Loki be glitching in that trailer.
I haven't seen it.
Not that's it's a minor spoiler. It's just a trailer. It's not out yet. It comes out in like a
if
couple
it's, I
months.
mean, if it's a trailer, I mean, it's a trailer. But
But
like,
yeah, which I was like, oh cool, is this but then I was like, oh no. What did they do? Like I don't
yeah, I
know.
got I got questions now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, with the multiverse stuff, now I mean, as a person who read comic books and just really knows the multiverse is there mostly just so they could say, just don't worry about it. We just want to do our own thing. Just don't worry about it. That's all it is. It's just a device, just to say we are tired of trying to keep up with everything. So just don't worry about it. We're doing this today now.
I
Don't
can
worry
do
about
that.
everything else.
Yeah. I gotta let things go sometimes. I used to be that way. I used to be so like attention to detail, and now I'm just like, whatever. It's
Yeah, that's something I try to tell my brother a little bit. Uh, I think when we got into Breaking Bad, we were learning about what good writing looked like and stuff, like really trying to wrap our heads around what that is. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, the writing doesn't always have to be that good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always judge movies on a criteria of like character, story, and style. And if two of those things are at zero, if say like character and story are at maximum zero, if style is at like 100, it could still be a good movie. Or and that could goes with everything else. If style sucks and story sucks and the characters are good, could be a good movie, etc. and so forth. And and a good story, and that doesn't, a good story is important, obviously, but I don't think it has to be the most good to satisfy all the criteria. So
yeah, my what do you call it? Tolerance, I guess,
Mhm.
is just gone so like it's broad. What is the word I'm looking for? I'm just very low maintenance. Is that it? Just low maintenance for movies now. I used to not be. I used to like only think certain movies were good because like they had to be like super detailed and deep. And now I'm just
Mhm.
like, if it's entertaining even in the least bit, I mean I could sit and watch it. I probably won't watch it more than once, but I can like
Right.
and be
Exactly.
like, that was all right. Like you remember that Sherlock movie that came out with Will Ferrell?
Oh no.
Yeah. I just like I watched it with a group of people and I thought that was pretty funny. I liked that. That was all right. And then the next day, I was online and everybody was just trashing. And I'm like, it wasn't that bad. It was entertaining.
Okay, now listen. I have standards at least. No, okay.
I have low standards. Low standards.
But here's the thing. Well, here's my thing. First of all, I mean, I do respect that opinion wholeheartedly. I wish more people were at that level of, it's not a big deal, because some people do make it all a big deal when it really doesn't matter. Like, there is a time where I was like wrapped up in, say, the MCU or Star Wars, and I was like, oh, everything has to be perfect. It all matters, and you all suck. You're not as good as this or whatever. Uh, and now I don't know. And it's not
Yeah.
because I think Star Wars or the MCU have gone down in quality. I've both gotten older and I've seen more things, and I've also thought uh, I've just come back around. I think I went from super pretentious to less pretentious to more pretentious again, but then pushed that pretentious so past the point to it's back to low again. To I'm not pretentious, where I can, uh, even though I think that Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly Sherlock movie is probably super garbage. Look, that trailer killed me. It destroyed me. But I also know movies are hard. People just want to think and try their best at the end of the day, whatever. Uh, and
And
if and
yeah,
uh-huh.
the mood changes. Like what wasn't funny yesterday was hilarious today. What was funny like 20 years ago isn't as funny today. And I think that's probably why a lot of people didn't like that movie. But we're not talking about that movie.
But yeah, it's all subjective. With
Oh, wait,
things.
real quick.
Mhm.
While we're talking about movies that you said you have standards. I have standards. Like I would watch that Sherlock movie a million times before I would ever watch Joss Whedon's Justice League again.
That movie is. Yeah, it's literally unwatchable, Josh.
It's unwatchable.
It's
Oh, I
unwatchable.
would rather watch The Last Jedi again than
I
watch Just.
see. It's so. Oh god dang it! I wish I recorded. I did my radio show this morning. I forgot my flash drive. I was going to put it out today. I actually spent a good minute talking about how much I love The Last Jedi. I do love The Last Jedi.
In call, in
Hey,
call,
no, no. Hey,
call.
so wait. Well, what do you think about the Rise of Skywalker then?
I feel like it was just trying to. The entire movie is just trying to fix The Last Jedi, and it wasn't like its own movie.
Exactly. And I think that makes Rise of Skywalker. Me and Jacob. I keep mentioning my brother because he's the most critical person I can think of. Well, the movies. We watched Last Jedi and we didn't like it. Like, I agree. It's not a good movie. From beginning to end, it's not a good movie. But they're making choices and they're trying to push the story forward. The Rise of Skywalker spends the first 30 to 45 minutes trying to undo what The Last Jedi did and then be like, okay, all that stuff you thought, no. Oh, by the way, Palpatine has returned. What the fudge are you talking about?
Yeah, made no sense. And to drop that broadcast in a game, Fortnite.
Oh
like,
yeah.
What the hell was that? Come on.
So, like, The Last Jedi, we didn't necessarily love, but didn't make us mad like it made a bunch of people mad. The Rise of Skywalker made us infuriated. Like, looking at how much money, like, that movie looks, it looks amazing. It's great for trailers. But also it's like, you can see the hundreds of millions of dollars on screen, and it's all servicing nothing of substance. It's like, god dang it.
It's servicing cool visual effects. It wasn't even fan service. I mean,
Oh, the one fan service of Kylo and Rey kissing, that's fan service. Terrible fan service. I hate it. But there's a bunch of 13-year-old girls who are like, I want to see them kiss. And they got to see it. It's so stupid. This man blew up 5 planets at once, by the way. Just saying. But whatever. Yeah, he had a little kiss before he dies. Whatever. That's that guy. Anyway, that was a rant.
I was really hoping that was just going to be like alternate universe Star Wars, but we thought with where the shows are going,
You watch Andor?
They're trying. Yeah, I've seen Andor.
Andor's amazing.
Andor is amazing. But where the shows are going, you can tell they're trying to. They're following the Rise of Skywalker timeline, the Force Awakens.
I think they have to. They made it. They have to. It sucks. I wish you could. I think you could just say F it all.
Okay, hear me out. So if they can redo DC 10 million times and redo Marvel and all that, then they can just split that part of Star Wars off and be like, this is this Star Wars, and this is like this is like if this happened, this is that. Like this is like if Luke had a bad thought, Star Wars. This is like a what if Star Wars. That's what they could have played it that way.
I think they should just, well, first of all, no more trilogies, or if you do a trilogy, don't call it like Star Wars Episode 10.
I agree with that. Stop making movies just to be trilogies. Like, don't make don't call it a trilogy before it's a trilogy. Like, just make a movie, and if it works, go with the next one. And if that
works, like if you don't have, it's one thing if you have like 2 movies worth of stuff that you're like, I think this could be a trilogy. If you already had 2 movies worth of stuff, but don't be like, I have half a movie worth of stuff and it's going to be the first part of a trilogy. Don't do that.
Exactly.
Hold on. I'm trying to see. I wonder if there's no way you can tell me how long this records. After 40 minutes, I have to start a new room. I'm just telling you.
That's really fun. I love how for the majority of this time we've been talking about everything but Spider-Man 2.
I know. We're getting back to it. And also, I think some things we are talking about do show why this movie is good. Because Spider-Man 2, the story is so small. It's minuscule compared to all these things we've talked about. Especially, like, it's funny, like, now retroactively, we got Tobey Maguire back for a second, and he was in No Way Home. But it's like, Spider-Man 2, when it came out, was just like, there's no expectations. I mean, there were expectations that we want more money, give us more money from Sony or whatever. But other than that, it's like, we're just trying to see how this does.
You know what?
And mhm.
Thought about something. You know how in Spider-Man No Way Home, when all those characters from those different universes came to Tom Holland's universe, like their appearances changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mysterio, not Mysterio,
Electro.
Electro got a fade,
Mm-hmm.
and and was Yellow Lightning, and Alfred, whatever his name is, Doc Ock, he went from having like this kind of straighter, I don't even know what you call the haircut, but just like straighter brown, like light brown hair, and then he goes into like Tom Holland Spider-Man universe, and his hair is like dark brown and curly.
Mm-hmm.
Little things, but then you see across the Spider-Verse, and anytime like Miles or anybody else jumps into a different universe, they like stay the same as their like respective universes while everything around them changes.
Yeah, well, for them, kind of, for not 100% though. I do think some little things changed. Like when they went to the Mumbattan universe, like the Indian Spider-Man place. Like, yeah, their costumes are the same and stuff, but I don't know. There's a lit small. It's very small because,
I
like,
don't.
I just imagine when Miles and like the chai tea bit that Indian Spider is like, chai already means tea. You're saying tea. In that moment, it looked like he was animated. But also, that was like an imaginary thing, like his little introduction things. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, but Miles didn't look different at all. Like he looked exactly like he did back in his universe.
Yeah, but
He was even like every character was like also not maybe not every character, but like a lot of characters were all in different like frame rates too. It was
well, yeah. And also Gwen, but that's where I say maybe not quite because Gwen, when you go to Gwen's world, her whole world is very different looking. I don't know if I would say her style translated to her in other movies or in other universes.
you know what? Great example. Spider-Man Noir. Noir?
Well,
Noir.
yeah,
Noir? I don't know.
noir.
Look, black
I'd
and
say
white.
noir.
Goes into this universe, black and white. Goes back with the Rubik's Cube. Everything is black and white except the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, that is a great example. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Doctor Strange went through all those, like, traveled through all those different universes. He turned into paint at one of them. He turned into a cartoon in
Whoa,
another.
you're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. But also for that one, that could also be semi-explained. I'm not trying to break it. I'm just throwing. It's not real. No, it's real.
And
Oh,
none of it's real. But
oh,
it's like those things that you know you don't think about it, and then like myself, that's why I gotta stay like I gotta just let go of the attention to detail every now and then because otherwise these things will consume me.
yeah. All right. But yeah. Well, here's how I would explain it in a way: is with what's her face? America something or other. Chavez is her name. She punches those star portals.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, she was grabbing on to Doctor Strange as they were going through those portals. Maybe something in her helps her adapt to the different universes that she goes through, and that's why she turned into pain since he's holding on to Doctor Strange. Maybe that's why he's turning into pain. It's loose, but I'm saying it.
Were they were they touching the whole time?
I think so. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think.
You know
Oh
what?
wait,
Head canon. If that is the case, if they were touching the whole time, I could head canon that. But if not,
well, and also I do vaguely remember like maybe she caught him or something because I feel like maybe he was flying, a, like just flailing in the air at one point, but he was just a normal self when he was flailing, and maybe they didn't change until she grabbed onto him. I don't know.
what if they would have got stuck in the paint world? Would they just be like splots of
They were
paint?
splashing together. I was like, how'd they get back to normal after that? Do they have pieces of each other inside each other? I don't know. Uh that's what I was thinking.
Do they are they even like sentient anymore at that point, or do they paint?
Maybe their brains in their foot. something like that.
Can't think about it. My brain will explode.
All right. Uh, but yeah, and I love Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness though, because that's also Sam Raimi, and you can see in basically in the beginning of the movie, the wedding scene and the first fight with that giant eyed monster thing. That looks like Spider-Man 2. That looks like old school New York Spider, like Sam Raimi's New York Spider-Man 2 New Yorkiness. But instead of it being Spider-Man doing cool stuff in this New York, it's Doctor Strange, and then it's like, I miss this. It's such little stuff that you don't necessarily notice when it's gone, but when it's there, you're like, oh, like Sam Raimi loves paying attention to like the screaming citizens being like, ah, we're just screaming and running away. There's so much more of citizens screaming and running away in fear and terror.
I like the zoom in shots. The doom.
Yeah, yeah.
It reminded me. Do you remember the scene in Spider-Man 2 where he's with MJ at the coffee shop and they're talking, and then they start to feel the vibrations, and then the camera zooms in on the street, then it zooms in on Peter's face, then it zooms in on the street even more, and then more on Peter's face. She's closer every time, and you hear the doom, doom, doom. And there was like a very, very similar scene in Multiverse of Madness where they had locked the door behind them, and they just kept going back and forth between the door and then Doctor Strange, and then the door, and then back to them, and then like all of a sudden she just went Evil Dead.
Yes. Oh my god!
Just appeared, and it was perfect.
Multiverse of Madness is criminally underrated. There's so much Spider-Man 2 and so much Evil Dead in that entire movie. There's so much.
Yeah. If they make a Marvel zombie movies ever, I really hope Sam Raimi directs it.
One would wish. I don't know.
I read the Marvel zombie comics like in high school, and I was obsessed with it. Even back then, I when I pictured it, like it's already pictures, and you're looking at it, but they're still visual in your head if you can think that way. And the entire I was like looking at it just like an Evil Dead movie the entire time. The Marvel zombie comics, like it wasn't just zombies. It was actually like deadites from Evil Dead, like and the Marvel, and then zombies like met up and clashed, and then one like took over the other. It was just, I mean, Ash Williams, was that his name?
Ash versus Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, he was in that series too, and it was just like,
man, that was so cool. I think he like fights Daredevil early on. I think he chops him up. I think he chops up Daredevil.
I think Howard the Duck killed one version of him, and then just like in 2 seconds, like another parallel Ash Williams came out from.
yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. I used to read a lot of Army of Darkness comics. Well, I read like a few, but
back then, I didn't know who Howard the Duck was. So I was like, why is Donald Duck in this Marvel? Like, where did that come from?
Seriously.
And it was years later that I found out that Howard the Duck, 1, existed, and 2 was a Marvel character.
A Marvel character, and had a George Lucas produced movie in the 80s.
Yep. I still haven't seen it. I probably.
Oh my goodness. I've seen it, and my mom and my aunt would always cover our eyes when there's like a scene where it's a naked duck.
Know what you're talking about.
It's like she has boobs, but it's like
I've seen enough spots of that movie. I've seen just enough preview that I know that I don't want to watch this movie.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's I don't know. I think it's the woman who plays Marty McFly's mom. I could be wrong. I think she's the one who has a romantic relationship with this duck. I think they smash in the movie.
Where it came from.
And it's an 80s movie that's PG. So kids like to go see that movie.
Well, okay. But to be fair, what was it, 80s movie you said?
Yeah.
I don't think PG-13 rating
it didn't exist
until like 1984, like maybe like late 1984. So if it was like before that, then PG, it was subjective.
Yeah. So yeah. Marty McFly's mom smashed Howard the Duck. Confirmed. Okay. I was thinking about a second ago. Uh, like in No Way Home when stinking. How does it go? Oh yeah. So they were discussing the logistics of Tobey Maguire's webs because they're organic and they come from his body. And Andrew Garfield's like, "Oh, that's weird because sometimes I make my own and sometimes they run out and all this." And uh, he was like, Tony Maguire was like, "Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. I have a block and and like an existential block, whatever, and that's why he didn't have his web stuff going on, whatever." And when we were watching Spider-Man 2, it's kind of interesting because that's kind of it's not really explicitly stated what is Peter's hangups in the movie. It's like what's what's like I mean you could chalk it up to he's stressed about being Spider-Man, whatever, but I think this time around when we were watching it, we were coming around on because earlier in the movie when he's talking to Doc Ock's asking him, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And Peter's like, "I don't really know." And Doc Ock's like, "Well, shouldn't you know? I mean, who would know?" And then later in the movie, when uh, when Peter's talking to the doctor, and uh, the doctor, goes on whatever, and he says at one point, he's like, "Oh, it's gotta be terrible enough to know who you are." Soul disappears, whatever, all this. And I think the whole point is it's not just about him having to choose between whether or not he wants to be Spider-Man or not. That's not the point. Uh, the point is to do the things he's doing uh, with conviction and be sure of himself and be sure that he wants to do it. Like, don't be Spider-Man because Uncle Ben died and you feel guilty, and don't not date Mary Jane because you think uh, both because he thinks I think that she can't handle it, or because he thinks about well, I need to protect her. Like it's his decision whether or not she's protected or not, or whatever. Uh, so it's just about him learning to just have some conviction. Be sure, do what you want to do, and you know, it's just it'd be one thing if he's Spider-Man and not being like wishing he wasn't. It's he had to find his own reason that he wanted to be a hero while also not failing at everything because he keeps just holding. I don't know. He's like holding himself back. But yeah.
Well, know, he didn't tell. I think a lot of these problems would have been solved. His existential crisis if he would have just like told Mary Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean that was the biggest part of him losing like his balance between being Spider-Man and being just a regular person. Is she didn't know, and he had to just come up with all these excuses all the time, and it was just like ruining his life, and not just his romantic aspects, but like school and yeah. So, I mean, that was like, but you just explained the entire plot of the movie. I mean, without that problem happening, there would be there. I mean, that movie just wouldn't exist.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not. I was just thinking about it because I don't think I thought about it totally in this way. Like I got it, but I was really trying to really pay attention to like, what's his problem? Whatever. Uh, and also there's other little things. The fact with Harry, he didn't tell. I mean, that I'm more scared about trying to be like having to tell Harry because Harry's like, you Spider-Man killed my father. But if you notice at the end, when Harry finds out he's Peter, and he's like, Peter, did you kill my father? And then Peter's like, there are bigger things happening here than me and you. Basically implying, look, something important's going on right now. We'll have to talk about this later. But then Spider-Man 3, you get the impression that he never went and followed up on that because he's literally just driving home and then all of a sudden sneak attack from Harry. And it's like, do you not call him or something after Spider-Man 2? I don't know.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I felt like he tried to.
I mean, I know. I mean, I think it's implied that he tried to, but also, I like when they're fighting in the middle of the air, and that's actually a good night scene of them flying through the skylines and stuff. God dang it, let's do more of that. But uh, there's a point where Peter's like, uh, "Listen to me, I didn't kill your father. He was trying to kill me. He killed himself." So it's like, did you not say this? But yeah, exactly. I got that whole movie memorized. I could probably do the entire thing. But it's like, did you tell him this? Did you tell him, like, is he trying to tell him this for the first time right then? I assume not, but also he's being really to the point now, whereas before he's like, look, there's bigger things happening here than me and you. And now when he's about to get singing crushed by Harry's glider, he's like, look, I did kill your father, please. It's like, I don't know.
I bet he reached out. I bet Harry, like just disappeared. I mean, if you read a lot of the comics, he just disappears.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's a lot of. I mean, there's a plenty of good different reasons why. But he's just, he's a
But
character.
also imagine this though, because also in Spider-Man 2, Harry gets drunk and he's like, my father's dead. Oh no, he took my father's love and he took MJ from me and he slaps him. And then what happens at the end of Spider-Man 2? MJ and Peter get together. So maybe he's too busy macking on Mary Jane, being like, oh yeah, finally. And also, at that point, is he supposed to just be like, okay, so look, Harry, I was involved in the death of your father, and now I'm dating MJ. So I don't know. Even if he did try to talk to him, I would still just hold a grudge. Which is, you know, probably why he attacked him anyway. But yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I think Sam Raimi wrapped that film up in such a way that, like, you kind of forgot that he found out who Peter was.
Yeah.
Because it was just like he ended his fight with Doc Ock, and then there was like this brief scene, where he like smashes the mirror and finds out that his dad was Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like the immediate next scene is like Jameson's son marrying, like, in the wedding, and you see her running through a field, and then go get him, Tiger.
And they have MTV's Best Kiss, probably number. They tried to make it. I don't think they won, but the first one won MTV's Best Kiss for the Upside Down Kiss, obviously iconic. But the way they smooch in that end scene in Spider-Man 2, I'm like, they're trying to get another MTV's Best Kiss. They're like eating each other's faces. But and I love the end of Spider-Man 2, the last shot of MJ just looking out like, but
my favorite part of the entire Spider-Man 2 movie, it's ridiculous, but you remember when, like, he just like goes crazy with these AI arms and then like immediately just goes to rob a bank. Like, do you notice that it's not paper money? He's like carrying like
bags of gold,
cartoonish bags. Yeah.
I love that whole scene. More bank heist by crazy madmen.
I forgot about that. I didn't even forget about it. It's never, when I was young and a kid, I didn't even notice it. Just that was just very normal to me. I just thought like all banks had giant bags of coins.
I still think that.
And then, like, as an adult, I rewatched the movie, and probably like a couple times before I realized, and I was like, why are they coins? Why are they in bags? He's the Hamburger burglar.
And Spider-Man's quip, here's your change. The one quip per Toby movie.
Yeah. Oh God, I love the banter. That is nobody did it better. I don't care what anybody says. Like, the way Tobey Maguire Spider-Man talks to his enemies is just it is so comic. and none of the other Spider-Man.
I disagree.
No.
Andrew
Especially
Garfield?
no. I mean, no. He had his moments, but Tobey Maguire hit home. It was just like every
But
other
here's the thing, though. In the first movie, one, he uses one quip twice, and it's like homophobic. He's like, "Oh, that's a nice outfit. Did your husband make it for you?" Or something like that. It's like, "Oh, you're mean, Spider-Man." So what? Maybe he did.
I don't know. I don't think that's homophobic.
I mean, I don't think it's, but I don't think it. I don't know if it would be qualified as a quip today. I don't know. Like what? It's like I think kids. I think a kid might literally watch it and be like, I don't know. Maybe his husband did build him his suit or make his suit for him or whatever, or pick out his outfit or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But uh hey, what else? There's another thing. Oh, also, we need to get down to the Aunt May of it all here. I want an old, frail Aunt May that I'm scared if I drop her, she'll die immediately.
Best
And
Aunt May. I mean,
the best.
that's best Aunt May. That was well. No, yeah, no, best Aunt May. She was
And
the best.
here's my complaints about Tom Holland's Aunt May. I didn't mind Andrew Garfield's Aunt May. I don't think they did enough with her. Uh, but the time
Yeah,
she did at least have a couple scenes of like real heart to heart moments with Peter.
that was really like why I can't say that she was even up there. It's because like there was just so little scenes with her.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she has like they're not they're not the best scenes, but they're good. They're okay. You see the potentials there. I hate the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 1 when I think Peter and Gwen, I think they just break up. Yeah. Peter is out on the porch and Gwen's at his house and she's like, my dad died. His funeral was today and you weren't there. And I forget what he says, but essentially they're just breaking up and she leaves. And then Peter comes inside and Aunt May's like, "Oh, isn't that your girlfriend or something like that?" And he's like, "Not anymore." And basically he's like, "I'm no good for her." And she's like, "Peter, if you're anything, it's good." Meanwhile, which it's not. I mean, I get, she's supposed to be supporting Aunt May, but I'm also like, her dad's dead because of him. And not only that, he didn't even go to Effin funeral. I don't know if he's totally good.
But that wasn't really even the problem. It was him questioning if he was good or not. It was like, like he knows the kind of life that he's living and he knows what comes with that and the danger. And he's trying to respect her father's wishes. And it had nothing to do with him being good.
And then
Like,
what does he do?
the
What does he
issue.
do? The end
And
of
then,
the movie.
yeah, I was like, no, you're good. And I was like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I can do it. Break that promise.
So what you're saying, how I'm going to hear what you said is, you know exactly what the situation is, and you just said it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, Aunt May, you don't know anything that's happened in this boy's life in the last like 3 months. Go. It's not like he's sitting around playing. Like, she literally doesn't know where he's at all the time. It doesn't matter. And then second movie, obviously Gwen dies, whatever. And she,
whatever.
whatever. Gwen dying is a whatever now because it's only been done once, and yet somehow also wrung to death in a way. Like I don't know if he'd kill Gwen ever again now in a movie. Maybe a show, but not a movie.
No, almost a movie, but it wasn't even by. I mean, what movie was that? Is that the third one?
When Gwen dies?
No, not when she dies, but when she like almost dies because she was like falling off of a building or
Oh
something.
yeah, the third movie, yeah. Third,
yeah, it was
Raimi.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, older Aunt May's better. I don't like the thing is I would have liked the Marissa Tomei young Aunt May, but the thing is they didn't do anything with her, really. I mean, they did have some cool moments with her and Tom Holland in the first couple movies. But in the third movie, they just kill her. Spoilers for No Way Home, it doesn't matter. Uh, they kill her, and it's like, okay, so you're telling me this. You're telling me you wanted a younger, hotter Aunt May, presumably because you got a younger, hotter Peter Parker. So that, I could get that. All right, I'll take that. Maybe you want more opportunities. Maybe you want Aunt May to be able to do more and be more in the action. I can get behind that. But then you kill her as if, like, if she was an old, frail woman and you killed her, it would have been like, well, of course she's old. But now it's like, you just made her younger just so we could look at her and be like, ooh, look at Aunt May. And now she's just dead. Now she's pretty and dead. It's like, God dang it.
I did like her death scene. That was a really
It's
good
great.
It was that was probably one of the best death scenes in any Spider-Man like film I've ever seen.
I love it. And that's probably the best scene Tom Holland acts in that time movie. I love when he's like, uh, oh man, it's crushing. Like he's just looking at the light literally dim in her eyes, and he's like, "I'm so sorry, Andy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." It's great. Look, I love. It sucks. I love so many scenes in No Way Home. I love. If you took me that one scene, plucked it out, showed it to me, I'd be like, "That's one of the best scenes ever." Uh, it's just that the whole movie doesn't work for me. Like the whole picture doesn't work for me, kind of at all. But there's so many great scenes in the whole thing.
I disagree.
A lot of
I
people
like a
do.
lot about it. There are definitely parts I didn't like about it. But no, I mean overall, I thought it was pretty okay.
It just it rubs. It's the pure definition of rubbing me the wrong
Let me
way.
let, let me tell you what the biggest problem with No Way Home was.
Mm.
Toby's mask.
You didn't like his mask?
It was
I
a bit.
noticed it looked different. Yeah,
It was a bit different. Different. Different is wrong. They added a whole extra like
that
we
line.
we were this close to perfection,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just had to add that extra stupidity
Yeah,
web. Like why?
yeah.
Why? And then oh like okay, think about it. These movies were made in like the early 2000s up until like 2008 or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like look at the definition in the mask in like the
Mm-hmm.
glasses, like the way they reflected everything. And then No Way Home, it was a CGI mask the entire time, and it
I
was like
hate those.
there was no, it wasn't sharp. Nothing about it was sharp. Like
So like, all right. To that point, also, we were so when me and Jake were watching Spider-Man 2 again. The elevator scene, you get a really good long look at that practical suit for a good like minute or two, and you could look at every inch of it and be like, man. And if you look at all the pieces, you'll be like, man, if someone's making a Spider-Man suit, this is a pretty weird direction to go. Like all the individual pieces are like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily throw that in Spider-Man suit. Like all like the honeycomb textures and the red parts or whatever, and it's I guess kind of like in the blue parts, but kind of like a different shape. Uh, and the raised webbing and the
I love the
very
race.
pointy eyes. I
I
love the
love.
race. I love that costume. It's amazing. It's just I would not have thought about. Oh, I'm making a Spider-Man movie. I'm making a Spider-Man costume, and this is what. Uh, and I like it though. But there is something about it that's like extra early 2000s-y in a way. Like I think mainly about the spider emblem on the back. It kind of looks almost like futuristic tech, kind of like techno, like what the 90s thought the future would have been, but not quite really. I don't know,
Yeah.
like late 90s, like the day before 1999. It's like, oh wow, it's like I don't know. It's like the Spider-Man font. Uh, just the font is basically what that whole costume looks like in a way.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and yeah, that's what I love. And to that point, also again, my favorite part in No Way Home, or one of my favorite parts in No Way Home, is when they're just hanging out before the battle, and you can tell they're all actually in their physical suits. At least Toby and Andrew are. I don't know about Tom. But like when he's like cracking his back, it's like, oh man, these are two men in two costumes, and they look so pretty and real and right there. It's just something we don't do anymore. Like every
Yeah.
Tom Holland suit kind of makes me mad. Yeah, each
Yes,
one.
100%. It doesn't. I mean, no. Well, okay. So in the last one, I think there were more scenes where he was actually wearing the suit,
Yeah.
and you can there are like some parts of it, like especially when he had his mask off, that you can tell like, oh, he's wearing a suit,
Hmm.
and then it goes back to when he's swinging. You can tell it's like CGI, and you can tell the other ones are too. But like, it,
Something about the way the other suits look
when I
make
would
them look better in CG.
when I would see the behind the scenes photos and stuff after the movies came out,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you would see like the suit he had on was defined and sharp too,
Mm-hmm.
and the webbing was like, I think, it was out just a little bit, and when the film would come out, it wouldn't look anything like, it wouldn't look nowhere near as good as like the behind the scenes
It
photos
looks
that
like they cut lines into a potato.
it doesn't even look like that. It just looks like it's like all a flat smooth surface.
Yeah.
There's no texture, there's no, I don't know, like ribbing on the webs, nothing. It's just like a flat, it's like a video game. It looks like a video game.
Yeah. It's so like I think of Civil War. They had like a janky basics, like they didn't know what they were going to do with Spider-Man yet at all, and so they had a suit, and it's understandable if they're like, we don't know if this is going to be the final product, but I don't even think he looks that good in Civil War in his first appearance. I'm like, he looks kind of gross. This just looks
It
like,
looks animated. The whole thing looks animated.
yeah, it's gross. It looks bad.
But it's
Uh,
crazy because he was like, I mean, at least from what behind the scenes footage I've seen, like he was actually there, but it's
yeah,
basically like he was motion captured the whole thing. Like he wore the suit, they went all out to make it, and then he was motion captured like the entire thing.
and I especially hate it when you see like Tom Holland just wearing a skin tight motion capture suit. It's like, is it really so terrible just to put some red and blue on one of those and just slide it onto him?
Well, I think when he was wearing that, he was doing the Iron Spider armor.
Oh, I hate that suit probably the most. The most. Uh, I hate the. I don't hate the Toby and not Toby, the Peter and Tony relationship, because we talked about this privately before about how maybe the Amazing Spider-Man movies would have been. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you totally feel about them completely, but maybe they would have been better if we didn't feel like they were the only options for Spider-Man. Whereas now you have five, you choose between like five different options. You got your Spider-Man PS4 game Spider-Man. You got your Tom Holland Spider-Man. You got Miles Morales. You got all these different avenues. Like if you want a different Spider-Man, you can pick your lane and stay in it.
I mean, Lotus.
Oh, don't, dude. I like if I mean I think everybody has the basic same feelings towards that movie. It's like if that guy didn't act like such an a-hole outside of it, and all the people in that involved apparently are terrible, or at least a lot of the main people in it or involved
I
in it.
I know nothing about any of that. I even in films today, I kind of just try to not know anything about celebrities and their lives. Um,
I mean, but that's the thing though. Beyond that, even beyond the background of it, that movie's. I've watched as much as I was willing to watch. I watched like 10 minutes. It's not good. It looks.
I watched it twice. I watched the whole thing twice.
You watched the whole thing
Yeah, I watched the
twice?
whole thing twice.
Wow.
And I gotta say, like, again, I know nothing about what you're talking about with the whole situation with the guy and the people who made it. I don't know anything.
Good. I think that's good. I won't even say more about any of that. What did you think of the Spider-Man Lotus?
Um, I thought that there were some really great parts to it,
Mm-hmm.
but there were a lot of inconsistencies in terms of like the style of filming.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's really hard to like critique it because it was made by a fan. Like a fan put his money into it. He made the whole thing. He worked on it for a couple of years. He didn't have like it's an independent film. I mean, sure, it was
Mm-hmm.
like a few $100,000 to make, but it was an independent film. Like it wasn't made in Hollywood. Um, he had to pay like visual effects teams and actors and all this. And I think he got a lot of the scripts from the actual comics, and he just kind of like
Hmm.
took it, put it into a script. So if so, it's really hard to like critique anything visual, um, but I can critique the writing because he had like complete control of that. You don't need to pay if you're writing the movie, it's all on you, right?
Right.
Um, and I gotta say, like the biggest part for me to get around was just the dialogue,
Oh,
but not so much of like what they were saying. It's not like it's not like Revenge of the Sith dialogue.
right.
I
But
want more, but I shouldn't.
you
No.
know, I would. No, I'm not even gonna say. I'm not gonna touch Star Wars. All right, go ahead.
But it was like there were just scenes that were just drawn out way too long.
Uh-huh.
Like there's so much less Spider-Man. It was basically it shouldn't have been called Spider-Man Lotus. It should have been called Peter Parker Lotus.
Right.
Because basically I mean, so much of the film was just Peter Parker.
Right.
And
And that should be fun. Like, keep in mind, Spider-Man 2, there's so much of just
yeah,
Peter Parker.
yeah, but it's like the entire Spider-Man Lotus was just for me it just felt like I get that Spider-Man, like if you look at him as a whole, his life is a tragedy. It's basically a
Right.
tragedy. He's just like a grand optimist, but it's tragic, and that's what this movie was. It was kind of showing that side of Peter and his like his tragedy, how like he always. It was kind of like Spider-Man 2 a lot because he was
Mm.
struggling between like, I mean, there are people I love, and now they're getting hurt, and I could have prevented this if I just didn't. And then like they actually there was this one scene with the kid,
Hmm.
which
I
is
remember.
directly from comics too, about the kid who was like dying, and his like make a wish was like to see Spider-Man or to meet him, and it was you know did you ever see it in the old
Animated
animated?
series.
Yeah, in the animated series, yeah.
Yes, that's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, it's one of mine too. Yeah, and basically the same character, gender swapped, but I think it was actually gender swapped for the cartoon. I think
Yeah,
the
for the
actual comic,
show.
yeah, the comic was like it was still a boy, and then the animated show, they made it a girl, and then in Lotus he was a boy again.
Mm.
Um, Not that any of that matters, I guess, but yeah,
Oh no.
it was a lot of it was that premise, like they used a lot of that when he was trying to decide whether or not he wanted to continue being Spider-Man or not, because again it was about like the death of Gwen Stacy.
Hmm.
um and it's basically like they took off
That's
right from where that comic ended, where she died over the bridge because the Green Goblin like dropped her over the bridge and he went to catch her. And
yeah.
in this one they didn't specify, like I know there's two different versions of the comic, where one where you see the snap in the neck,
Yeah.
and the other where they took that out because it was too dark, and then she died because of falling that distance, panic.
Hmm.
And so they didn't specify in this film whether or not which one happened. So but anyway, basically like a lot of the movie was just kind of them being sad and kind of moping about, and the monologues, the conversations between each other, it could all of them could have been way shorter. It just didn't always feel like a real conversation, because it felt like what they were really doing was just trying to fit all their lines in.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of what it killed a big part of it for me.
Uh,
Another thing, there's one visual thing I will comment on. So, or two. There's two visual things I will comment on.
all right.
So, the CG suit, for anytime he's swinging, anytime he's well, basically swinging or on some like high bridge, is immaculate. Like
Hmm.
the CGI is like fantastic. His suit is seamless and it's textured. It's really good. But then when you actually have him in live action, where they're not CGIing his suit. Like you can see the creases in the mask and everything. And I'm like, I get that you want the mask or you want his suit. It's hard to make those seamless, like I don't know the word for it.
Like,
Seamless cuts,
yeah, like no
sewing,
seams.
seams, yeah. But if you can't do it, and I mean, it was pretty close. But if you can't get it all the way, at least like make the CG that's supposed to be realistic as possible. At least make it look
Make it match.
the same. Make it match, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't so far off that it was like bugging anybody. But like the fact that one was so perfect and the other wasn't, just kind of
Yeah.
bugged me. And then there was this one scene where he was fighting.
Shocker.
No,
Oh.
the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
At the when they were doing like a flashback to like right after Gwen died, and he went and Green Goblin took him to the building that he stopped his Uncle Ben's killer at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they were fighting, and there was fire, like the building was on fire around them. And I was just like, if you're gonna spend this much time, this much effort into making all of the visual effects in the movie, for where there are visual effects, look good, and then this one scene just looks
Rubber chicken.
like you ever
Like
see
his face.
Bat in the Sun videos?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And
like
those are cool.
they are cool, they're fun, but they're not like they're not like movies, and they know
Yeah.
that like their visual effects are kind of like silly.
Yeah.
All the other visual effects of just Spider-Man by himself or swinging is really good. And then like this one scene where he's fighting the Green Goblin, like the fire just looks so fake. He
Mm.
overused a bunch of smoke that you can tell was put in there. Like it was like an overlay effect or something. Like it was like a Snapchat filter is kind of what it looked like.
Mm.
So like way too many embers just flying through the air.
Oh, well, let me tell you one thing though, and this I won't mention necessarily the controversial things. I'll just say this though, there was a controversy, and because of that controversy, the VFX teams or team, whoever they hired, they quit in the middle of the production.
Oh,
So there are some scenes that the dude literally had to do by himself. Like if you look, and sometimes I'm just like, just find a way to cut it out. That's what I would say. I would just say find some way to cut out any more CG if you can't do it good. Because there's like a car chase at one point, and it was right after one of the pretty looking Spider-Man scenes. And there's like a car chase, and it's like a janky looking car going through the street, and it has like TASM number 36 or whatever on the license plate.
yeah, the intro, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, and I think people are being mean to Spider-Man Lotus a little extra because of just how the guy who was making the thing not it's one thing being ambitious. People they're not going to pick on you for being ambitious, but he's also was being very arrogant, thinking, "Oh, I could just make the best Spider-Man movie ever," and he was kind of like acting like it. Uh, and this is just one jerky thing he did, and it's not really tied to controversy, but it's just a jerky thing he did. Like John Watts, director of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, you know, tweeted him just being like, "Hey, keep it up, make your movie or whatever." And then like a private text or something got released of the director with one of his friends. Is like, "Oh my god, John Watts just texted me. His movies are still garbage though." It's like, come on, you know, be appreciative that you're being noticed by a Spider-Man director. I would be effing jazzed. Uh, but my so on Spider-Man PS4, there's or at least on the remaster, I don't know. The Spider-Man games photo modes are considered like one of the best photo modes you can have for a video game these days. On there, you can access a light mode, and you can put like 3 lights wherever you want in around Spider-Man to make him look effing cool. Uh, and my critique of the first 15 minutes that I saw was like when he's fighting Shocker, he's not well lit, and I I'm especially noticing it
Yeah.
because I've been fiddling with the stupid photo mode all the time, putting lights where I think.
And if you think that the first 15 minutes aren't well lit,
Well, that's one of the biggest criticisms I've heard from a lot of people is the lighting is bad.
lighting. The lighting's great with the CG scenes, but
Yeah, the
like
CG scenes he didn't do.
the lighting everywhere else. Remember when I was just talking about the smoke that was overlaid in the
Mm,
scene with the burning building? There's fire going on all around it, and the smoke is just reflecting none of it.
mm. Do they
So
at least have any like? I doubt it, but do they at least have like orangish, yellowish lights, maybe reflecting on them at all, like off
yeah,
their body?
yeah, I think they did. I can't
Well, that's good at
remember.
least.
I can't remember if it was like moving lights or
Mm.
if it was just like one stationary orange light. I can't
Uh,
recall.
but I understand, especially for someone who could be an amateur filmmaker, to not put lighting, like not think about lighting as much. And their suit, I think, actually looks pretty good. Uh, and if it was well lit, it'd probably look pretty great.
But here's the thing, I know I've seen a little bit of his videos, his hype videos, kind of like leading up to the release of the film, where
Mm,
he was just like really excited, and then after seeing the film, I could tell it was to me what it seemed like is he just like got to a point where he was. It seemed like he was pressured by fans to just get it out there because he wanted it, and instead of like this is I think a lot of just professional movie makers do this instead of waiting and just
mm,
getting the movie perfect. And even if it took another year or two,
seriously.
he was like he got so excited, so anxious that like he was blind to the mistakes, and he just wasn't patient enough to like just make sure it was as perfect as it could be.
But the thing is, it's like when you're, even if like $100,000 isn't the most money in the world, but it's like put. I would hate to have so many people give me that money and then me just not put out the thing that, like, it should be the best thing I've ever made ever in my life. So they tried to take. I did watch some thorough breakdowns of it, obviously, because I know some things about it. They
That's a
did so.
good idea. I should do that.
Oh man, you will see. It sucks. Well, I mean, I don't think it's well received in general, even with people who didn't know about any of the controversies. But for the YouTubers that do know about the controversies, they ripped this guy 12 new buttholes. It's I feel bad because it's like if I ever made anything like my first real big project thing, ah, I would just I don't know. I would actually love to see this guy make more because he kind of has to. He has to make something else that's good that shows he doesn't suck. Otherwise, he's just going to be known as a poop face, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I will say this. I think it's probably one of the best full length fan films that exists. I like not a Spider-Man film necessarily, like not as like it's not if it was like if this was a feature film like like a regular Spider-Man movie or even just a regular movie. I
mm,
mean, I think there are better Hallmark movies,
yeah,
in this
it'd
fan
probably
film.
be like at Redbox in the back in the last couple pages of a
Yeah,
Redbox.
this it would yeah. So, but I gotta say I've seen a lot of fan films. Like I used to have this hobby, especially like in school, where I would like to see what people create because when I was younger, I wanted to be an actor and I wanted to like make films
Mm,
and part of me still has like an itch to do that, but everything I would watch, it was like super mediocre, and it's just like, and it wasn't really necessarily always the creator's fault. It's just the lack of resources, lack of money,
mm-hmm.
um, and and wasn't always like a bad script. It's just like it didn't have like I said the resources to kind of like match what the script was trying to do,
Mm-hmm.
and so not a whole bunch of great ones, but But yeah, I've never seen a fan film this long,
Right. I
and
think that's a big a fan film shouldn't. I don't know if fan films need to be feature length, really.
no,
Personally,
I think they should. I think
you think they should?
I would love to watch feature or fan films that are 2 hours long that somebody like poured their heart into. And that's what I really respect about this one is like I think the guy really poured his heart into it. I just think that he again could have held out longer and I
Right.
think he just kind of got impatient.
But I also feel like I I'm just quit saying I haven't seen it. It's known I haven't seen the movie. I but he's like he's trying to squeeze in the Spider-Man talking to a sick kid thing, and the death of Gwen Stacy,
That was the
and
best
that
part of the whole film. The best part of the whole film was when he was talking to the kid.
yeah, I like the clips I saw of it.
Mm.
And they also try to fit in the Harry drug thing that
Yeah,
yeah.
that was so drawn out. It
So
was so drawn out.
and one complaint I saw is like they I think it flashes back to like when Gwen's alive and they're all hanging out. And one of the complaints I saw about it was when we're seeing them, if we're seeing a flashback of them hanging out, they should be having fun, looking like they're having fun. And then I think the first scene when Peter's like, "Oh, hey, I'm late," and Gwen's mad at him, and they're all just like mad at Peter because he's late and sucky. Uh, People complain it's like, well, we should be seeing them hanging out, having fun, normal times, and not be flashing back to them fighting, and then think, "Oh, the best of times were when we had that fight that one time," or
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, it was a that's what made it. Like I said, it was just so dark. The whole thing was just so kind of depressing. And I get it. I get that Spider Man is a depressing character, but like that was just a little overboard, a little too. Is melancholy the right word?
yeah, or pretentious. Like I like that's the thing I think a lot of early filmmakers uh some early filmmakers do is like they kind of forget the fact that it's supposed to be entertaining. You're not trying to bum people out. We get you're deep and sad. It's like there are filmmakers who can do dark dramatic things and still make it's entertaining, but even in gross dark ways. I think of like the movie Prisoners, where it's like I don't know if you saw that movie. Uh, it's like about these kids who get abducted and kidnapped, and you're dealing with Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard trying to find their kids and what they'll do to find the people that kidnap their kids or whatever. And it's dark. It's like hollowingly dark, but also a movie that I could watch beginning to end and probably again immediately after. Not necessarily for everybody, but I could do that. Uh, I don't need to see somebody, especially a young kid, trying to pour their heart out about all the things that make them sad, because there are a lot of people that are sad about a lot of things. Uh, you can tie like a good shorthand for some people might be like, oh, when I was hanging out with my friends, this was what this would be. To use that back as an example, it should be showing them having the fun times. Where not that you shouldn't be knowing, oh, back when it looked like we were having the fun times, I was actually really dark and depressed, and I was not satisfied with anything. Also, like I don't know, you gotta tie people to like a time and place, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling. I don't know.
That
Uh,
makes sense. I get what you're saying.
it's like
At the end of
yeah.
the movie, when he finally closes up his little speech, his farewell sort of or whatever that is that he's doing, like the dialogue in the movie, the narration is him like recording himself
Mm-hmm.
giving like on a tape recorder, talking to Gwen, who's already gone at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about his regrets and stories and like how he basically it's the story of how he chose to continue being Spider-Man after losing her. And where was I going with that? Oh yeah, and then like at the very end, he wraps it all up, and he kind of brings the conversation to the beginning scene where he meets, like you said, he meets up with them, and it's just like, and I didn't look back at that thinking, oh yeah, man, what a, I hope he could get back to that. It was more like Oh man, now I'm thinking about the beginning again. That was just sad too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And actually, to tie this back to Spider-Man 2 a little bit, uh, throughout the entire Spider-Man 2, people are trashing on Peter Parker hard. Like, uh, he gets fired from the pizza place in the beginning of the movie. Harry is like, "Oh, taking pictures of your friend," and Mary Jane's like, "Oh yeah, I'm dating somebody. I like him." Uh, and all all of his relationships are on fire all the time. Uh, and that's just because of him as Peter Parker sucking as a person. He's being threatened to be failed out of school by Dr. Connors. Uh, he gets fired by J. Jonah Jameson for a second, and then he's like, "Oh wait, I need you. You're rehired. What do you know about fine dining and all this stuff?" And then even then, he probably has his worst night ever when he goes to that event. He sees the girl he loves getting engaged off to somebody else. Harry slaps him. He's like, "Oh, you just want to take care." Like I said earlier, when he's like, "He took my father's love, and he took the girl that I loved, and whatever." Uh, and he keeps trying to get like little snacks off the trays, like hors d'oeuvres or something, and he keeps like either someone just takes it before him, or when he finally does get a drink, it's effing empty. Like this is Peter Parker Day is, but that entire movie is. But not once are you necessarily being like, you're not seeing Peter be like, "God dang it, just let me kill myself" or something. You're not seeing that. And you're also not feeling like, "God dang it, effing kill me. This sucks." You're not feeling that. Like, you can still empathize with Peter, but still have a good time.
Yeah, it was like a stressful day, not like it's like it was relatable. It was just relatable.
Yes,
Yeah,
relatable.
very like oh man, I get it, guy. You need a break.
Exactly. And and I love the part in Spider-Man 2 at the end of the movie, or it's coming towards the end, like when he's not quite got his powers back yet, but he's getting there. Uh, his neighbor Ursula is like, "Would you like a piece of chocolate cake
Oh,
and
she's
some milk?" And it's like, honestly, it's that one bit of kind. Like at that moment, he's staring at the window, and he's like, "Am I not supposed to have what I want? Tell me what I'm supposed to do." He's saying that to himself, to the world, as he's alone in his sucky apartment, just kind of having at that point an existential crisis for half a scene. And then his neighbor's like, "Would you like a piece of chocolate?" Because she sees him like something's not right with this kid. Uh, and she offers him that one piece of kindness, and that kind of just sets him back right. Like, no, his problems aren't fixed, but he's just like, someone took care of him for 1 second, and that meant the world to him. That's just good. It's as simple as chocolate cake. That's what I'll say. And
right when
maybe
you
Spider-Man Lois didn't have a
door.
yeah, exactly. I hate how that's one my bigger sadness is about Spider-Man 3 is like the last time you see Ursula, it is, during that scene when he's like, "When you fix this dang door." Uh
He's like
and
beating.
she makes him cookies when he's like just being mean Black Spider-Man, and he's like, "Do you have any but nuts?" She's like, "No, I could make you some." She's like, "Yeah, go make me some." It's like, oh, it's like in the second movie, she made you chocolate cake because you were at your lowest point. And now you're just taking advantage of her, telling her, "Make me more cookies, wench."
But you got to remember he did have the suit on. But I do hate that that was the last scene. Yeah, I definitely do. I feel like
It,
she's
it,
had like one more scene after that where it's just like like
are we good? Yeah.
something good, something nice. I feel like she should have had like a nice send off. But
Yeah.
what a weird scene. I never noticed that until you said it. Like what a weird scene to end her on.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh, do you know
well,
that you were mentioning the pizza scene a minute ago? Do you know that do you remember Stan Lee's cameo in Spider-Man 2?
what is it? You tell me. Or are you
Uh,
asking me if I remember? Or do you
yeah,
remember?
no, I remember, but I was
What
wondering if
in Spider-Man 2?
yeah.
No.
It was
I,
very quick, very brief. Like
was he like
Peter,
save somebody or something?
yeah, so like Spider-Man and him were like, and Doc Ock were fighting, and then like the rubble's falling down, and
Mm,
I think this was the second one.
yeah, I think it's the second
Yeah,
one.
it was, and yeah, so Stanley like pulls somebody out of the way of like the falling rocks.
Yeah.
Well, his original cameo was actually very close to the beginning. You know, when he switches, he drives into the alley, and
Mm.
and then he like comes out like with the pizzas dressed as Spider-Man. The guy's like, "Hey, Spider-Man stole that dude's pizza."
Yeah,
That was actually supposed to be like originally that was Stan Lee's line.
that seems like a mug. Like the guy they got, I think he's a semi well known comedian ish. But that seems like a cameo-y. I don't know. Like it's just long enough to where this should have been a cameo type thing. Like,
Mhm.
hey, he stole that guy's pizzas. It's like, all right, random guy. I don't know.
You know, there's somebody else. There's another scene I've always wanted to look up to see if there was like a hidden meaning or something maybe like our parents understood, but we didn't. Because you know, like in old cartoons, there
Mm.
we as an adult you rewatch them and then you hear these lines and you're like, wow, that was in a kid show. Or like there's a cameo from somebody and like your parents are like, oh man, that's crazy. I didn't expect him to be in there, and you're like, who the hell is that guy?
Yeah.
I like you're mentioning, you said his name. I still don't know who that is. And you remember the scene where he's like on top of the building and he loses his web, so he has to go down in the elevator and he's like standing next to the guy who's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
cool suit. Like I never do it just because I go ADHD mode and forget. But like, is that guy somebody special?
He
Did
was
did he like voice Spider Man at one point?
no, he didn't
Or-
voice Spider-Man. He was I do remember him. He was he's kind of like a I assume he's like a comedian, but he's kind of like a MTV-ish. I don't know if he was like a host, like one of the regular hosts, but I feel like he was one of those type of guys that would like host a TRL or something. Not actually TRL, but like would do one of those types of gigs or something. I
Well,
remember seeing that guy on MTV a lot
there's got to
back in
be
the
a
day.
reason. There has to be a reason he was in there.
I think he's a comedian.
I'm looking it up. Elevator scene, Spider Man 2. Uh, Hal Sparks.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. Hal Sparks IMDb. Maybe that'll tell me something.
Oh man. Oh, good.
I have.
VH1 and E. Talk soup.
Oh man, this guy's looks a lot older now.
Marvy.
Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, he's in Dudes. Where's my car? Yeah.
The Ashton Kutcher film.
Yeah. He was the Zoltan leader. Zoltan.
Wow.
I don't know if you remember that.
No, barely. Like,
Oh man. I do remember him in Dudes Where's My Car. Uh and he was in Dickie Roberts, former child star.
oh, he was in Lois and Clark
Oh.
as a skateboarder.
He looks like a skateboardy guy. Uh thinking also have you seen Spider-Man 2.1?
No.
You've never seen that? Not on like FX or nothing?
2.1.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man 2, but there's like 8 minutes extra in it.
Oh, I might have. I watch a lot of extended movies. You know what really pissed me off?
Mm.
I didn't go and see Spider-Man No Way Home, the funny version or the more fun stuff or whatever the hell they called it.
Uh,
Because I was just like, okay, like I've already went and seen like Spider-Man No Way Home, like how do I say it like that? Spider-Man No Way Home 3 times.
mm,
So I'm just not really in the mood to go see it in the theater again. I don't want to spend the money or whatever the deal was at the time. I'm just gonna wait for it to come out on DVD, the
mm-hmm.
extended version, and then it never did. And now I just have to live my entire like it's been years.
Well,
Now. It's been like what
here,
2
I can
years?
help you with something. Well, I can't help you with it. You'll have to pay for it yourself, but it's on Stars.
What?
It's on Stars. I watched it on Stars.
I looked this up a few months ago trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. And
Oh,
every forum, I was on Reddit, I looked for everything, and everybody's like, "No, it's nowhere, it's nowhere." And you're saying like just right now, all of a sudden, it's on Stars.
it's on Stars. I've watched it. I think I could probably. I mean, I'm bumming someone else's Stars account. Otherwise, I give it to you. But
I well, I'm downloading Stars later.
uh, and honestly, I like that version better. I do wish they would release that in 4K or Blu-ray so I could buy it. Uh, it is way better. I can't say it's way better, but it's definitely a decent chunk better for me. I think like they do more than just add new scenes. They kind of like restructure it, rearrange some scenes in some parts, make it
You
go a little
know,
smoother.
there is this completely off topic, but also
Mm.
not off topic. There is something I'm actually really looking forward to seeing. Do you remember Obi-Wan, the series that came out
Yeah.
recently? Um, there's a guy who like works in that industry, actually who's an actual like VFX artist and stuff.
Hmm.
He took the series and he turned it into like a 2 hour, 3 hour movie or something like that.
I heard about that.
And he redid the visual effects for certain scenes that he thought would make it look better, and
hmm
he even reshot some scenes himself and added them in there. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I bookmarked it somewhere, so I can go back and find it when it's ready. I don't think it's ready yet, but I actually I mean I saw the little previews of
hmm
his work, and I am really impressed. And I'm like, I actually really want to see this.
I
I
heard about it. I do want to see it too.
Somebody else did a similar thing before him, where they made it into a film, and I watched it, but it was they also did some you know effects changes, but minor stuff
Yeah.
like that first scene where like the Jedi runs away and they just like let him run away.
hmm
Well, in the movie version where they cut it down, he didn't get away in that scene. Like she threw the lightsaber and like cut his head off, and then like the next scene isn't like 2 episodes later. It's or the next episode. I don't know. It's literally like right after that moment. The next scene is like him hanging. Uh,
hmm
Mos Eisley, I think it's Mos Eisley,
Oh.
and his head is just like gone, beheaded, and that was
I
definitely not as dark as it was in the series.
I heard about uh I don't well as soon as Obi-Wan was done, I heard about two cuts that people did, but before the first one you talked about, where the guy who was actually working on it is doing his own sort of touch up of it and fixing it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and there were two options. I don't know. And there was one I heard that was better, and the other one I heard was not much better. But yeah, I'm also excited about the one that hasn't come out yet, because I think that one's probably going to be at least the best, probably the best one, because it actually has someone who do that level of VFX like attached to it. Not to say the people who did the other stuff was bad, but yeah.
Yeah,
Dang, Steve.
yeah, but no, I'm very much looking forward to that. You know, you know, you ever, I wish. No, I
What?
think it's rude to say. It's a rude thing to say.
Say
It's like saying how do I don't know what is a cult classic that like a director was really proud of, like The Room. Is that
hmm
what's called, The Room?
Yeah, the room.
Or was that is that the remake, or was that the
The remake is
biopic?
or Disaster Artist is James
Yeah, you're right.
Franco did.
So like The Room, like the guy who made it was like super proud of it, right?
Hmm
And it would be like saying like, oh, I want to remake, or I want to like take what he did and make it better. Um, and when I watched Spider-Man Lotus for the first time, I was like, oh, man, if I just had access to the like the raw clips,
hmm
if I could just
hmm
reshoot some things, if I can just like add a light here and there,
Oh my god.
I could just pull back on some of these effects. God, it would have been. Ugh. But I feel like it's rude to say because like I said, like the artist himself,
Yeah,
poured.
especially when he did most of the work on
Yeah,
it, especially.
you see, another big thing, like I get it, I get being so close to a project you can't see it anymore.
Hmm
Um, that I used to do like a lot of graphic design when I was in high school, and I thought I was the shit. Like I thought I was the best, and I wasn't even mediocre, dude. I was not good at it, and I was just like so. humble about it. I was like, I would go around being like, I'm the best. Look at what I did. And there was like way better in that same school alone. And they didn't even give me the time of day. They were just like, okay.
Oh,
And then I saw what some of them did, and I was like, oh God, I am nothing.
I mean, but also you gotta get better. That's the thing. It's
but,
like,
but yeah, that's true. But like, now what I do is, I work on like these drawings sometimes. Sometimes I'll do graphic design still, and I'll be so close to it, and I'll just get frustrated with it, and then I'll forget about it for months. Sometimes there have been pieces I forgot about for like over a year, and then I go back to it, and I'm like, oh, that was the problem. Easy
mm.
fix. Let me just touch that up. And I don't think with his time crunch and him wanting to like just get this out by a certain time, I don't think he really like gave himself enough time to like stand back and reevaluate and just like try to think about it in his head. Because when you start thinking about your project in your head when you haven't seen it for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you get this you build this picture of like what you thought it was supposed to be. Like originally you start thinking about like, oh, this is what I was thinking about originally. And then you go back and you remember it being like what you were thinking about originally, but then
Mm.
you see it after a while and you're like, oh, I thought I was a lot closer than I was. I got to tweak some things.
Uh,
And
well, that's the thing. You need to listen to other people too, and you maybe should have showed it to. Maybe he did, but maybe you should have showed it to like 10 people first and said, "What's wrong with it?"
maybe
And
like a few private screenings for sure
yeah,
with people who he doesn't like, complete strangers,
yeah,
like
pretty much.
Spider-Man fans, but strangers.
Because you mentioned the room. They're like, I showed the room to a couple of my friends who aren't as movie nerdy as I am, but it's interesting what like audiences like people understand film language on a base level in some way, and only when it's not right is when they know something's wrong. Like for example, in the room, and they do the same thing as Spider-Man Lotus in certain parts. In the room, they will do establishing shots of the city and then go right back to the same place they were already at, or go to a place that doesn't even look like what they were using establishing shots of.
Yep.
Uh, the room went straight. Like the room would be like, here's a scene inside of a room, and then establishing shot of like the bridge and some buildings. All right, next scene is back at the room. It's like what?
I also want to go back and clarify that I could not have taken the raw footage and editing for the room and made it better. Like, there's no way. Like, nobody could.
Honestly, the editor made that movie, and that editor should be rich, probably.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because imagine looking at that footage. I would just crumble a little bit. I'd be like, how am I supposed to make anything out of this? The editor had to have known there's only one way this will work. It's the way he did it. That
Yep.
it's but and honestly, like seriously though, it's like you can still even look at the room and it looks like a mass of errors that are on accident, but there's some of it that's like someone here is doing something on purpose. I don't know if I'm seeing them on screen, but somebody, because if nobody was in on it at all, it could not be. I don't think it could be like that way completely on accident. There's a lot of accidents. Somebody had to know something.
Yep.
Uh, there's one guy in the room on screen. I think his name's Mike or something. I don't know, but he's like, "Oh, I lost me underwears," and I'm like, that guy knows the movie he's in. He's probably the one guy who is in for one scene and then disappears for the rest of the movie. Wasn't seen before or since his one scene. But he's like, I gotta go. I lost me underwears. And he says it in such a funny way. I'm like, he knew where he was supposed to be. All right, and goodbye. All right. But it's stuff like that. It's like maybe people wouldn't notice the lying so much if no, it's just blatant. I don't know. I feel bad for taking on, like you said, it's like it's small stuff. It's like the small stuff that you should have been thinking about on the day, or
It's just a new perspective. It's just like you need fresh perspective. And I don't like after watching this, I don't feel like he allowed himself to get fresh perspective. I feel like any perspective he got was really from close people that he wanted to show. And I don't
Yeah.
feel like those I feel like as somebody who's really ambitious like that, and I could be wrong, but like I feel like somebody who's ambitious like that like doesn't want to hear it wasn't really open to hearing like, oh, if you do this it'll be better. He just wanted affirmation that like what he was doing was good.
Yeah.
And that's probably what he heard from people who were close to him.
And it's easy to show your friends, especially maybe some friends that don't know as much about movies as you do, and be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, look what I did. And it'll probably look extremely impressive to them because
Yes,
it's like, I've
exactly.
never seen you do anything like this before. And this is more than I ever thought you could do, or something like
Yeah,
that.
I have a box full of drawings from high school of like portraits I would do. And everybody back then, I remember telling me, like, that looks just like this person. That looks just like that person. My family would be like, oh my God, it's like uncanny. And here I am. How many years later? What year is this? 2023.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about like 10 years, you know?
Almost, yeah.
Well, like, yeah, for some of those drawings, yeah, like 10 years later, I'm looking back and I'm like, no, no, that is not uncanny. That could have been way better. This looks like this person's doppelganger at
Mm,
best, or like like twin, but like you can tell they're not like what is it? They're not identical twins. It's close, but not quite.
mm-hmm. And you need to, especially in terms of like storytelling for Spider-Man Lotus, it's like it's okay if you want to stick by your guns on some things. Oh fudge. It's okay if you want to stick by your guns on some things, but also you need somebody to tell you, wait, this doesn't make sense, or wait, that looks bad. And then it's your job to either find a new reason for why it's not bad, or like you have to back your decisions up. Like you have to have reasons. Uh, and and sometimes what a person can say about your work will chip it away and like chip away at it. Then it's time for you to build anew and make something that can't be as easily chipped away at or whatever. Like I said, you gotta keep going, keep getting better, keep refining. Uh, and well, yeah,
You know
man,
what?
I'm. Mhm.
I will say, out of his film though, and his fan film of his actors, I don't know the guy's name who portrayed Spider-Man in that film. I remember earlier when I was talking about how Tobey Maguire's like banter and like his just like wittiness when he was like fighting, he would just make all these jokes and just like
Mhm.
tease his enemy. I feel like a lot of the fan films I've seen of Spider-Man, they all try to recreate that in some way, and it's just cringy.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just like it's too much. It's more like it's annoying not only for the person he's fighting, but it's just annoying to listen to as like a
yeah.
person. And I never felt that way with Andrew Garfield or with Tobey Maguire. I don't really feel like Tom Holland does it much, like not enough for me to really say that that's what it is.
Yeah, not really. Well, like
Um,
I'm trying to
but
think. Yeah,
but in Spider-Man Lotus, I will say out of all the fan films, out of all the like the Spider-Man like fan content that I've seen, his was probably the least annoying banter that I have
yeah, but
found.
also not particularly funny either.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't really funny. Um, it wasn't like small. It didn't roll off the tongue. It was like it was a
Right,
little bit forced still. All of it usually is. But I will say, I mean, it was the least annoying out of the
right.
other ones I've heard. I feel like that's like a kind of a backwards compliment, but
At least
it's really
yeah,
not. I mean, it's hard. It's hard
it
to
is.
create that Spider-Man like wittiness. It's really tough.
What I like
And
about what Andrew Garfield does is he's also a great, and I think Tom Holland has this a little bit too. A great physical actor. Like Toby's, like there's a like I think of the knife scene in the Amazing Spider-Man. Like yeah, he's quipping, but he's also moving very funnily as he's webbing up that guy and stuff.
yeah,
It's like, uh, and that makes it, and that adds to it. That gives it more life and more fun. And I think of that scene versus the Shocker versus Spider-Man scene where he's like, seriously, Shocker is the best thing you could have come up with or whatever. And even ignoring like the blocking of like where Spider-Man is in relation to Shocker, where Shocker is in relation to Spider-Man, and it's lit bad and all this. It's like I can see they're trying to do like the Amazing Spider-Man-ish thing, and for me, it's just not quite getting there. Uh, but it is hard to do, like find the perfect line for the quips for Spider-Man. I do think he can hinge on annoying, but you got to do that on purpose. You can't. It can't be an accident, because if it's an accident, then I'm actually annoyed, as opposed to, oh, I could feel the villain being annoyed. That makes sense.
Yeah, like I want to hear it enough to not notice it, and for it to just like I said, roll off the tongue, and like the audience not even like notice it's happening because they're just so like immersed in the film. They're just like, yeah, this is Spider-Man. And then like every now and then I want to roll my eyes because even I want to be like, oh my god, that was cheesy as hell. But like every now and then, I don't not like every single one, you know.
There's a in the Spider-Man game. There's one level where he's like finding like a crime, like some mafia, I don't know, goons or whatever. And he's like, "Are you all named Benny?" And he just keeps asking them a bunch of questions, like, "You guys can't seriously be all named Benny." Oh wait, unless you all are named Benny, or he just keeps just hitting them with like, "You're Benny, you're Benny, you're Benny," and they're like, "Just shut up already." And it's funny because it's like, yeah, I was also starting to get a little bit annoyed, but now I see they're also annoyed, and it works. It works. I do think he can be a like you said, like you can't be annoying for the audience. You can't like when you get to, oh man, like get Spider-Man off screen, you failed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like if the reason you're there is annoying you, you're failing.
Yeah, I think people need to look at it like I need to make this feel like the audience wishes they could have come up with like something like that if they were talking to like their bully or something. Like oh wow, that was a good like one liner. Like I wish in an argument with the guy I hated in high school, I would have been able to like come up with a roast back like that, or something like that, because that was terrible. That was of course everybody was like super big on roasting in high school, and I just was a quiet one who just never replied to it because I just never had anything good to say. And anytime I watch Spider-Man, I'd be like, man, I wish I could have thought to say something like that. That's gold. And then fan films, I'm like, no, that everybody would look at me and be like, why are you talking?
But also, I do give them a little bit of a leeway, because it's also, and it's not to trash on their actors that they ever have, because obviously they're learning actors. They're not going to be at the top of their game. But I also do think that the delivery from the actor is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
You gotta find somebody who can make it work. You think it would be easier with Spider-Man, but well, I don't know. If I was casting a Spider-Man movie, obviously you should be casting for Peter Parker, because if you get Peter Parker figured out, Spider-Man's easy to figure out. He has a mask. You can have somebody else be in the suit if you had to, for like stunts or whatever, and you can ADR good lines. So you could write lines later if you had to.
Did you know that Aunt May in the Spider-Man 2 film, like where she was like hanging from the building and she was being taken? Yeah, she did all that herself. She didn't even actually have stunt people for that.
You know what? That's what I'm also saying. It's like, I'm trash on the way home again really quick. Thinking, you make her younger so you put her in the action. She's hardly in the action. When she is in the action, she dies. Thinking, yeah, they hung that old woman on wires on the side of a building, and she is like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, come on.
All right, so we got 2.5 minutes, a little over 2.5 minutes. I'm thinking we should do a part 2 because
I guess we gotta do an F in part 2.
We gotta do a part 2 because this honestly wasn't so much about Spider-Man 2.
I know, but I actually am glad we spent a long time on Lotus, because it's hot right now in the news, and I don't know, maybe we are the people who need to be picking it apart at it or discussing it or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think people should be. I mean, again, I don't know any of the controversy. I don't know.
The controversies are pretty bad, but maybe dive into that a little bit
about it. But like just saying that I don't know anything about it, and as talking as like just keep any personal things out of it. Like if you're just critiquing a movie to critique a movie, or a film or fan film or script or whatever. I I think people are a little harsh on it. I think they're not looking at like, like what if you did it? Like this guy
Mm-hmm.
was just a fan and he did it himself and he just
Mm-hmm.
like, he put his money into it and like he did all. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know if he did that or if he crowdfunded. But the point is, like he started from scratch. He's not a Hollywood guy. He's never made a film before. Nothing like that. I mean, who knows if he's even written anything before? But
Right.
so it's impressive. It is still impressive, regardless of like as a movie what I think about it. Like as for that guy who is
Yeah.
not in that industry to make that from nothing, it's still really impressive.
Man, I look, I'm with you. Like I said, I told you, I feel bad because people are they are ripping them new ones all over his body, all
I'm gonna
over.
look. I'm gonna look into it now. Maybe
Well,
next time
well,
we do this, we can like I can I'll come back
yeah.
with more knowledge.
Listen, I will tell you this from where I'm standing. I am sympathetic to the fact that he's a fan and all that, but also he did do some things. It's like you have it's with great power comes great responsibility. It's this sink and be grateful for what you're doing right now, and you'll see if you look into it, you'll see like some of the things, and we can talk about it more next time.